What is up, people? Van from the Vanverse Gaming Channel here, bringing you another episode of Remnant From The Ashes. In the previous episode, we got an SMG, and in this episode, we're actually going to start cranking through Earth. Kind of give you my tips and stuff as we go through, depending on which events we get, and also which dungeon and world boss we might get. So basically, for this game, once you come into the hideout here, which we did before, you're just going to head out. You can see it on the mini-map. And now you're going to be in Earth. So Earth is the first world you can go to. When you come in here, if you look on the map, there'll be different sections you can go to that have different diamonds on them. And depending on the diamond is where you need to go. If you see a blinking orange diamond, that is a dungeon or an event. Basically, it's a dungeon that you can go to, and you're either going to get a dungeon boss, an event, or you're just going to clear through an area to get to another area. Some areas of the map are actually not available unless you go through one of those dungeon locations. All of these buildings you can easily go into to find scrap and other things, but it's just really up to you on how detailed you want to be. Once you go through the world and you loot everything that is on the ground, it will not respawn until you re-roll the campaign. So just keep that in mind. If you already go through and you loot everything, then there's no point going into the buildings a second time if you happen to come back to this area. Now, creatures will continue to drop different stuff, scrap and whatnot, so you can keep killing them over and over, and when you farm them, you can get their scrap and whatnot. But the stuff you actually pick out from these shelves, these will not be here once you pick it up, until you re-roll the entire campaign. So you can actually, if you want, you can always go to that checkpoint where the founder's location was, and under world settings, you can actually click on the campaign, and there's an option to re-roll it. And you don't really want to do that because it resets all of your progress until you get through the whole campaign. We start re-rolling when we get into adventure mode. Alright, so we're going to vault through the window here. Switch to the SMG. I hear things, but I don't know where they are. Pick up some chests. Alright. So you can see how good the SMG is for up close and personal fighting. The hunting rifle is great for long range. It does decent damage, decent range, decent accuracy, etc. But up close, the SMG is pretty nice. You don't want to shoot the SMG at long range. It's just not going to do very well. So you can see right here, we're coming up to a red diamond on the map. That red diamond is pulsating. That's a checkpoint we haven't seen yet. We can't get to that checkpoint. We have to actually go around another direction. So anything that's made of wood, for the most part, chairs, all this stuff, you can break and get lots of scrap from. And like I said in a previous video, early on, scrap's pretty important because you don't have a lot of it. But as you play the game, you're going to have so much scrap, you're not going to know what to do with it. Alright, so this is a gate that gets over there, but you can't open it from this side. It's one of those where you have to lift the latch, so you can open it to come back to this area once you make it there, but you can't open it to get to that area. Alright, so we got our first boss here, or elite, I'm sorry, not boss. Ready, dodge roll. Oh! That was a terrible dodge roll on my side. So we're going to go ahead and use this. Dodge roll. Wow, we're really sneaky with this. You would think I would know how to play this game after all these hours. Alright. Got him down. We're going to use that that bandage. Hopefully this guy won't hit us. There we go. Got too cocky on those dodge rolls. Alright. So that was our first elite. They drop luminite crystals. You always know when they're coming, which I mentioned in another video. You can tell by the sound. And what's cool is the elites that you see can actually be bosses that you fight. So that was Gorefist. That's actually a dungeon boss that you can fight in the game when you go into one of the side dungeons. It could be Shroud, it could be a lot of others. Manglers are elites that pop through. Well, they're not really elites, I guess. They're other, but it's interesting because some of these elites actually are bosses you're going to end up fighting when you go into the dungeons. Now, there's difference between dungeon bosses and world bosses. Dungeon bosses are always going to be in the side dungeons, and they only drop mods. So anytime you kill a dungeon boss, you're going to get an item to craft a mod for a weapon. Anytime you kill a world boss, you're going to get an actual item, like a weapon, for killing a world boss when you get the item. It'll allow you to make a weapon. So sometimes melee, sometimes a gun, and every world boss has 2 different type of kill options, where dungeon bosses do not. So keep that in mind. When you go to fight a world boss, there's 2 different ways to kill them, and depending on which way you choose is dependent on which item you get. And if we get to a world boss in this episode, I'll explain that to you. If we don't get to it until another episode, I'll explain it to you in the other episode. Let's just see what's in here. I knew I saw it. Sorry. You will notice that the hitbox is off when you fire your weapon in this game. So you'll notice that when you actually are on their head, you don't get the critical weak spot hit. You almost have to be a little bit above it. It's like your crosshair has to be right above their head. Your reticle, whatever you want to call it. So you can see if I go to the map here, this is a blinking, this is one of the dungeons. I have to go here. I could have gone south, I believe, but I don't think there's anything in this area. You actually have to go through the doorway here. So this is something I have to do in order to get to the rest of the map. So there's a good chance that this area is just going to be a dungeon that I'm clearing. There might be an event, or there might not be. And then every now and again you get a boss fight this early, but it just solely depends because the map is procedurally generated. So the different areas will generate every time you roll the campaign, so it's different. So every time I re-roll the campaign or I re-roll adventure mode, this area I zoned into can be completely different. Goodbye. Those heart guys you definitely want to shoot so they don't explode in your face and cause lots of annoyance. These guys you can melee, you usually can one-shot them. Just keep that in mind. If you get overwhelmed with them, it can be a pain, and if you are trying to melee them and one of those heart guys comes, and you can't really see him in order to shoot him, then they might explode in your face, so just be careful. You don't want to run out of ammo, but at the same time, you also want to make sure that you don't get one of those guys to blow up in your face. Alright. So when we get through a corridor where we don't know what's on the other side, we switch to the SMG. When we know what's coming, we switch to the hunting rifle, like this guy. Alright. Always make sure to kill those heart guys first. They are a real pain. Okay, we're gonna reload. Alright, pick up this chest right here. These things are so hard to see sometimes. They will blink if you look at them for long enough, but they're really hard to see. Alright. Alright, there's more coming, for sure. So at this point, when you get all these guys, you may not want to melee. You may want to shoot them with your SMG. Yeah. Just all depends, because you might take some damage. Alright, switch to SMG since we're up close and personal. Get this chest. We're going to come around through here. Get the hunting rifle in case it's a boss. Great. Okay. So this elite is pretty interesting. You got a dodge roll to get him to put down his guard, and then once his guard's down, you can shoot him. really annoying when you're trying to do that and have a melee guy in your face. There's actually another trick which I could show you here in a little bit. Alright, and dodge roll. And he's dead. He dropped the Luminite Crystal. I took more damage than I wanted to. Come on, get some. Early on, when you don't have a lot of gear and a lot of weapons and a lot of traits, some of these bosses are a lot harder than they need to be. Or elites. I keep calling them bosses, but they're just elites.
That was rough.
Okay, there's nothing there. So we're going to crank through this area, and then we're going to pop out on the other side. And I think we're going to pop out on the side where the door was. There's a good chance one of those heart guys is going to come right here, so I'm going to switch to the hunting rifle. You can hear them as they scream on their way, usually. But they always like to come when you're not ready. There you go. Okay, come around here, pick up the consumable. Pick up that delicious iron. Now, the one thing about the game about what drops, you can see I'm getting iron. The reason I'm getting iron is because of my gear score. So, because iron gets you from level 1 to level 5 on a gear score, iron is going to drop if your gear score is between 1 and 5. Occasionally, the next tier will drop, but not nearly as much as iron will. So just keep that in mind, that if you are leveling up your gear score, the items that are going to drop for crafting and upgrading your weapons is also going to level up with you. So if I was level 5, a lot of the stuff that would be dropping would be the level 5 to 6, you know, the higher level crafting materials. Because there's 4 different tiers. So the first tier gets you 1 to 5, that's iron. The next tier gets you 6 to 10, and that's, I believe, forged. The next tier gets you 11 to 15, and that's galvanized. And then you get hardened, which is 16 to 19. And then you get the final item, which is a simulacrum, which I said in another video. So the elite that is shooting at me has a machine gun, and you really can't dodge him. You just have to do enough damage to him to stop him from continuously shooting. When you're low level, it's almost impossible to do that, so you gotta kind of hide. So you don't get hit. Gotta wait till he's done shooting. He's dead. Alright, so we killed that boss, and now we're gonna keep moving. So we're pretty much to the end here. Keep cranking through. We got our SMG out for the up close and personal. These guys will be okay. Earned a trade point, which is going to be nice. Come on, boys. Come get some. And there's this guy again. He is not an elite. I mean, he's not a boss that you fight eventually. He's just an annoying elite, for sure. Staggered him. Okay, almost ready. He's down. All right, more Luminite for boss weapons. Probably not going to use anything because I think we're almost to the end of this dungeon, so I'm not going to waste my mod or my dragon hearts. I mean, I get my dragon hearts back, but I think we're okay. I don't foresee anything going to kill us between now and the end of the dungeon. So there you go. You can see the blinking diamond. Picked up another trait point. Fantastic. And this will probably put us out on the main map. So there's a main map, and then there's these branches off. The ones that have a dead end are usually like events, and then the ones that don't have a dead end are basically just little parts of the map you go to get to the next section. So we're still underground, so there's a good chance that this is going to take us to a boss fight. And usually when you go, if you don't come back out of the dungeon into the main map outside, then you're probably going to be entering a boss fight. So we're going to find that out here. Yeah, so just like in good old Dark Souls, you got a fog door. And I already know which boss this is just by the map itself. This is going to be Gorefist, so the guy that swings his big sword at you and runs at you. That's the guy we're going to be fighting against here. Those hearts that explode in your face are also going to be in this fight. So I'm going to kind of show you what I do to help get through this. We do have a heal, but that's a... Okay, so apparently my computer glitched when I entered the fog gate and locked up my whole machine, and I forgot to turn on the record button when I killed Gorefist. But when I did kill him, if you go into materials, you get this flesh barb. This is one of the items I was talking about when you get out of a dungeon boss. It's an item that you will hand in to McCabe back at Ward 13 that will give you a mod for a weapon, which we'll show you at the end here. So I apologize for losing that footage. We'll probably fight him again. So now we're on the other side of the map here. So you can see this is where we entered. We couldn't get to this checkpoint. We had to go all the way around. We went through this dungeon. We popped out on this side, and now we can get to this checkpoint. Now, also on this checkpoint, you'll see there's a helicopter right here. This is a random event. These random events happen in the game. Sometimes it's a helicopter. Sometimes it's a twisted tree. Sometimes it's not here at all. It just truly depends on each time you roll the campaign what you get and the adventure. So once you roll, like if you go to adventure mode, you will also have a chance of getting these special events. Now this is the door that I was telling you about that we couldn't open, so we have to come to this side and open it. Once we open it on this campaign, this door will remain open, and then that way if we ever have to come through here quicker, we can. So this particular event is actually pretty cool. It's an old dude. He does sell you some consumables, but if you talk to him and you allow him to keep talking, he gives you a pretty cool trinket. Amulet that is also used in another event on Earth. So let's get here. Hold on.
Come in. So, what brings you up here? Well, sure.
So,
And this old...
I'm just gonna click through this. So, we'll just keep asking him what kind of stories he has. Eventually, he will give us an item here.
Here now. Sure thing. I used to lead back at Sanctuary. Root ran scared. Most of Brabus is young. I can tell. Sure thing. I tell you how. I saw that Deadwood took. Don't know what. Saw the hole. You probably.
Nope. Tell me more, man.
I used to run. Brabus is my. Later on. Well, I know.
So Brabus is the one who's in another event
Sure
that I was
thing.
talking to you about.
You met Commander Root, killed her. They say her grandma. You ask me. I ain't put. Sure thing. Ma used to this place for. Why they had people on. I reckon you. I can tell. Sure thing.
So you got to keep doing this, and eventually he's going to say, "Thanks for sitting here so long and talking to me."
Here now, I've been. Sure thing. Bet you didn't. Heck, back when they used to tell me. Oh, heck. Now, listen, it's been a long time. This was my walk. Ain't no time.
Okay.
Sure.
So right there, that's what we were looking for, the pocket watch. And then we can also get into his store. And basically he sells some 60-minute buffs. You might want to buy some later on when you have enough scrap. When you first start the game, you don't, but when you see him later in an adventure mode, you might want to buy a couple of each of these. This increases stamina by 25, and this increases health by 25. It lasts for an hour, and even if you die, you'll keep it. So it's just something that you might want to think about picking up when you have more scrap later on. But this pocket watch is extremely helpful. It increases stamina regen by 20 per second and reduces stamina cost by 20%. This is really good for dodge rolling and all that stuff. We must have picked this band of caster up recently, so we don't want this on. So I'm going to unequip this because it slows my fire rate, and the last thing I want to do is slow my fire rate. So that's basically maybe was hindering me in the previous fight. I didn't realize that was the ring I picked up. But now that we got this pocket watch, we can head on to the next area here.
Tomorrow, creeps.
All right. So we're gonna go, I believe this is the only way. Yep. So this is the only way we got to go here. And then we're gonna kill our way to the next area. So this is Shroud. That's also an elite that can be a dungeon boss. There we go. Goodbye. He's down. That's a dead end, I believe, or there could be... Actually, this is a dungeon this way, and then I think there's a dungeon the other way. So let's go this way and see what we find. Break stuff for extra scrap. Scrap is pretty important early on, but after that, it's not so big. Let's see what's in dungeon number 2. So we already fought a dungeon boss. So usually when you do campaign mode, you usually get like one dungeon boss, one event, which is usually where you get an item out of it, and then you usually get a world boss at the end. So let's see. Yeah, so this is an event. I could tell by the explosion.
I'm warning you.
So you can hear the explosions. Basically, we're going to talk to this gal here. And what this is she's going to give us a key. And we have to get through this area and not get blown up. Kind of like the area we were in before. And in this area, basically, once we get to the end, there's going to be an item for us. So this actual, if you did not choose the hunter when you first picked the game, you're also going to get the trait that the hunter gets along with the hunter gun pistol here. So, whoops, we went the wrong way. So basically, this is real simple. You just don't get blown up, and then you kill everything in your way. So you'll see these little things. They kind of look like a... I don't know how to... I'll show you one. You can hear they're even blowing up to them. I'm not really worried about ammo. I'm just shooting everything. Early on, when you can one-shot stuff, ammo's not really a huge problem, and I know there's not going to be a boss at the end of this, so I don't really have to worry about it. And even if there was, you'd get a checkpoint. So it seems like they have cleaned out most... Right here, that's a bomb, right there. So it looks like they've cleaned out most of them by running into them, but that's what they look like. There's probably going to be elites in here, so definitely want to make sure you don't use up all of your ammo. And I'll always look for those bombs, because if you step on one, they do some pretty decent damage. There's another one. Someone just blew up another bomb. This up. Okay, there should be more coming through here. More? Bomb. Chest. Alright. Doing pretty good. Alright, so we got our boss again. This guy who's really annoying. Until he's done shooting. Out of here because of these morons. Okay, he's up top now. Hopefully we can stagger him. Yeah, he's staggered. Yeah, we got him. You can stagger him, he'll stop shooting long enough.
Whoa. It's over.
More luminite for our mod weapon that we just got. Our our weapon mod, I'm sorry, that we got off of the boss fight that you didn't see because my stupid thing sucks. I'm still looking for bombs anywhere I can. I think they blew up a lot of them. I heard them blow them all up, so there's not a lot on the ground, it seems. They don't always have to be on the ground, too. They can be up on a shelf, and they can be in the water. So you just be careful that you don't step on one. I may even step on one by accident. Still don't see any, so that's a good sign. See, they keep blowing them up. That's great. There's one. All right.
Yeah, get it.
Okay. So far, so good. So far, so good. So this is one of those dungeons where there is no exit. So once you get to the end, you just basically leave the dungeon. It'll kick you right back out at the front of the dungeon. Or the other option is you can return to Ward 13, which is what we're going to do. They're just blowing them all up for me. That's fantastic. Alright, get some more chests. So what's great about this game is that, yes, you have to replay a lot of these areas over and over again in order to unlock everything. But I have noticed that, for the most part, it's always, you usually always see something new. Like when you do adventure mode or even campaign mode, you always see something you didn't see before. Alright, that elite's dead. I'm more worried of bombs I am about these guys. Alright, see any bombs on the ground? It's gonna blow me up when I run in the water here. Okay. Pick up all the scrap. Delicious. Alright, so we're almost to the end. Okay, so right here, these you gotta shoot and destroy. And that's our checkpoint we're going to leave from, but we're not going to go there first. We got to use the key to get in here.
Yeah.
And this is going to get us to right there. So that was the hunter trait. So if you didn't take the hunter as your class when you first started as an archetype, then basically you had to do this particular event in order to unlock the hunter's trait, which is the awareness issue, where basically it reduces your enemy awareness, so enemies are less aware of you, so that you can actually sneak up on them, so to speak. And then at the end here, we should actually see the purple, which is the hunting pistol, which is basically like a hunting rifle but in pistol form. So it does a lot of damage, but it's a one shot. So you have to be pretty accurate shooting them in the head, but if you can do a pretty good job with it, you can pretty much one shot most things, similar to the hunting rifle, but it's even, I think, more damage than the hunting rifle. So this is 55, and this is 115, so it's huge damage compared to the hunting rifle. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go here, and we're going to head back to Ward 13. So as soon as you click on a checkpoint, just be careful, because when you click on a checkpoint, you respawn the whole map that you just killed. It gives you back your armor, your ammo and your health and all that, and your dragon hearts, but you also respawn all the creatures you just killed, so just be careful. So we're going to go this way to McCabe, we're going to get our new mod, and then we're going to call it a day on this one, and then we're going to continue on through Earth. So let's see what kind of mod she gives us, because we do have a mod. Okay, so she gives us Mantle of Thorn. It reduces melee taken by 20%, reflects 120 melee damage, reduces stagger on hit. And so that's going to cost me Luminite and a Flesh Barb. So we're going to say okay. Craft.
Yeah,
all right.
good.
So now we have it. And now we can add that
Now
on
go.
to, it's on our hunting rifle here. So there you go. So that's it for this episode. We'll catch you in the next episode when we finish through Earth. And we will go from there. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. This is Van from Vaniverse Gaming Channel. Cheers and peace out.